looking to connect a region of over 600 cultural bridges between our lands.
Hello and welcome to ASEAN in Focus. I'm Maricar Velasco, delivering to you the latest news in and around the ASEAN region. Here are our headlines. Myanmar's civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi, who is facing international criticism over her country's crackdown on Rohingya Muslims, called Saturday for a culture of peace to end conflict between communities. The Philippines lands on top 10 list of most attractive markets for clean energy investments, according to a recent study published by the Bloomberg NEF. Anti-conservationists have welcomed footage of reef sharks gliding through the azure waters of Maya Bay as a positive sign of recovery 6 months after a closure of a tourist hotspot made famous by the movie The Beach. Myanmar's civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi, who is facing international criticism over her country's crackdown on Rohingya Muslims, called Saturday for a culture of peace to end conflict between communities. The Nobel Peace Prize winner did not mention the Rohingya crisis, which has led the United Nations to call for a genocide investigation in her keynote address to an international meeting organized by a group linked to the Unification Church. She says at the basis of conflict is ill will, which seeks to hurt and to destroy, and thus to open the way to conflict, which in turn spews out an ever-renewing cycle of hate and fear, snuffing out the light of peace. Suu Kyi called for a cooperation between nations to seek peace and mutual prosperity. She adds, only by promoting a culture of peace in this world of interdependence will it be possible to create harmony between diverse countries and societies. Suu Kyi, whose position of state counselor is Myanmar is considered the equivalent of a prime minister, has faced a wave of condemnation since Myanmar launched its military crackdown on the Rohingya in August 2017.
Only by promoting a culture of peace in this world of interdependence will it be possible to create harmony between diverse communities and societies. At the basis of conflict is ill will, which seeks to hurt and to destroy, and thus to open the way to conflict, which in turn spews out an ever-renewing cycle of hate and fear, snuffing out the light of peace.
A former official at the U.S. Justice Department pleaded guilty to banking violations as part of an attempt to lobby against American authorities' pursuit of Malaysia's scandal-tarred 1MDB investment fund, the Justice Department announced. George Higginbotham, 46, admitted to lying to U.S. banks while transferring tens of millions of dollars to fund a lobbying campaign on behalf of Low Taek Jo, the 1MDB affair's alleged mastermind. Federal prosecutors in August charged the fugitive financier Low, also known as Joe Low, with 8 counts of money laundering. He is accused of helping orchestrate the theft of $4.5 billion from the government-backed investment fund. Higginbotham admitted to deceiving banks, including producing fake loan and consulting documents to hide the true source of the funds. The true purpose of the funds was to finance a lobbying campaign to persuade U.S. officials to resolve the civil and criminal cases brought in the 1MDB case, and to persuade American authorities to deport an unnamed foreign national from the United States back to his home country. This, according to the Justice Department. Higginbotham, who until August had served as a liaison between the department and U.S. lawmakers, was not involved in the 1MDB investigation and failed to influence any aspect of it. The Justice Department separately announced Friday it was seeking to recover $73 million held in American bank accounts that Higginbotham and Pras Mikel opened last year on Low's behalf. The palace on Sunday, December 2, reiterated that shifting to a federal setup of government remains a priority of the Duterte administration. In a statement, presidential spokesperson Salvador Penelo said The disposition of the Senate with respect to this proposal should be understood along with its current and tight situation of addressing the 2019 budget with not too ample time to spare. Panelo said they expect the Senate to support the President's desire for a federal form of government thereafter and see the wisdom of changing the system of government as part of society's transformation for the betterment of all the Filipinos. President Rodrigo Duterte has been pushing for a federal government since he assumed the presidency, saying it would bring about peace in Mindanao. North Korea's foreign minister kicked off an official visit to Communist Vietnam Friday, a trip analysts say carries the potential for the hermit nation to learn from Hanoi's post-war Doi Moi economic transformation. Vietnam's economy has flourished since market reforms in the 1990s opened its doors to foreign investment and free trade deals, with GDP growth hitting 5% or higher for the past decade. It has done so while maintaining a single-party communist state with a tight grip on power and little tolerance for dissent. It's a model that experts say could appeal to Pyongyang, with an economy long crippled by wide-ranging sanctions and years of self-imposed isolation. While the full plan for Foreign Minister Ri Yong-ho's three-day visit to Vietnam has not been made public, a diplomatic source in Hanoi told media he is due to visit a technology park near the city and meet with agriculture experts. He will also meet with Vietnamese Prime Minister Nguyen Xuan Phuc, according to his official schedule. Kevin Gray, professor of international relations at the University of Sussex, told media North Korea's regime wants to expand their economic relations with other countries and not be completely dependent on China. He adds there are also lessons there that North Korea could potentially learn from Vietnam's opening up. Ri's Hanoi trip also coincides with a current diplomatic thaw following a series of meetings with Seoul and Washington, including a landmark summit between North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump in June. Carl Thayer, emeritus politics professor at the University of New South Wales in Canberra, says North Korea is using this period of not testing its nuclear weapons to recover its external relations to appear as a respectable member of the international community.
Know the latest news and information here and abroad. In Aguila, Balita, track the latest happenings in the provinces in Aguila Provincia. Be aware of important events in Asia, in ASEAN in Focus, and be updated in the biggest news around the world in Eagle News International. Tune into Mata ng Aguila and get the day's headlines and news that are sharp, accurate, and objective. Only here at Net 25.
Iba't ibang sakuna at kalamidad ang nararanasan ng bansa. Kapag may banta ng panganib, kailangang maging alerto at kung kailangang lumikas ay magtungo sa ligtas na lugar. Bilang paghahanda sa mga ganitong pagkakataon, mahalaga na may gobag na dadalhin ang pamilya. Narito ang dapat na nilalaman ng gobag ng isang pamilyang handa. Mahalagang dokumento sa selyadong lalagyan, flashlight, kandila, posporo at silbato, radyo na may bago at ekstrang baterya, first aid kit kasama ang panlunas sa lagnat, LBM, sugat at iba pa. Ang mga gamot na regular na iniinom ng pamilya. Magagamit para sa mga sanggol, bata, matatanda at may kapansanan. pera at mga barya. Pagkain na madaling ihanda, di na kailangang lutuin at sapat para sa 3 araw. Inuming tubig sa saradong lalagyan at sapat para sa 3 araw. Telepono, powerbank at charger. Lubid, lumang dyaryo, matitibay na lalagyan. Damit, kapote, bota at mga sanitary supplies. Sleeping bag o banig at mga kumot. Suriin ang mga laman ng go bag kada 3 buwan at palitan ang mga laman nito na malapit nang masira. Ilagay ang go bag sa lugar na madali itong makita at makuha sa oras ng sakuna.
Welcome back. 9 drug smugglers were sentenced to death in Vietnam on Friday for selling methamphetamine and heroin in a country with some of the toughest drug laws in the world. Heroin has long been the drug of choice among users in Vietnam, mostly older men, but synthetic drug use is on the rise, especially among a growing class of hard-partying youth. The sentences handed down Friday were among the toughest in years and came after a 4-day-long trial in northern Hanam province. The ringleaders were convicted for trading 18.5 kilograms or 40 pounds of heroin and 563 grams of methamphetamine in northern Vietnam, according to the state-run Vietnam News Agency. 3 others were given life in prison and 10 others were sentenced to between 7 to 21 years in jail in connection with the drug ring. The investigation showed that 22 defendants had illegally traded drugs many times. This according to Hanam People's Court on its website. Separately, 4 men were also sentenced to death in northeastern Cao Bang province on Friday for dealing heroin, state media reported. Communist Vietnam has long vowed to tackle social vices, including drug use, which is prevalent throughout the country. It has some of the harshest punishments in the world, and anyone caught with more than 600 grams or 21 ounces of heroin or more than 20 kilograms of opium can be sentenced to death. The growth of consumer prices slowed down in November, the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas forecast on Thursday, as global oil prices started to go down during the month. In its monthly inflation forecast, the BSP Department of Economic Research announced in a statement that it projected inflation to settle within the 5.8 to 6.6% range for November. This means that even if inflation hits the ceiling of its range for the month, it would still record a slowdown from the October print of 6.7%. The deceleration of inflation for the month could be attributed to the sharp decline in petroleum prices, the BSP said in a statement. The normalization of supply conditions in rice and other agricultural commodities, as well as the positive performance of the local currency during the month, also contributed to the tamer forecast. Data from the central bank showed the peso averaged at 52.82 to a dollar as of November 29, a stronger value compared to the $54 average in the previous month. BSP adds this could be offset in part by the adjustments in jeepney and bus fares, as well as higher electricity rates in Meralco serviced areas. They add, moving forward, the BSP will remain watchful of economic and financial developments to ensure the achievement of its primary mandates of price stability conducive to balanced and sustainable economic growth. The Philippines is one of the most attractive markets for clean energy investments, this according to a recent study published by the Bloomberg NEF. This year's Climate Scope Emerging Market Outlook showed the country ranked 6th out of 103 economies with a score of 2.29. This is the first time the Philippines was included in the study. Only the Philippines and Thailand were included in the top 10 countries that are the most attractive for clean energy investment. Thailand was ranked 10th in the study. The study says there has been staggered renewables build, and the story plans to hit 15.3 gigawatts of renewable energy capacity by 2030 and total generating capacity of about 65 GW by 2040. It adds, with a large increase in forecast demand, there is potential for renewables to grab part of the pie. The study evaluated the presence of fundamentals, opportunities, and experience in countries that will encourage the growth and development of clean energy investments. The Philippines scored 2.95 in fundamentals, 1.54 in opportunities, and 1.71 in experience. Fundamentals account for 50% of the score, while opportunities and experience account for 25% each. These fundamentals refer to clean energy policies, power sector structure and regulation, as well as any local barriers that might obstruct the development. Two major laws, the Electric Power Industry Reform Act and Renewable Energy Act, have intensified growth in the Philippines' renewable sector. The study continues to add the government has also opened more options for developers to sign power supply agreements directly with customers with a large enough demand. It also mandates utilities to facilitate retail opportunities for customers wanting renewable power through a green energy option program. The Climate Scope report also said markets with greater experience deploying rig capacity typically offer lower risk, lower cost and of capital for investors. A feed-in tariff has spurred 1.05 GW of renewables growth, and behind-the-meter policies have achieved an impressive 50 megawatts of distributed resources. Over the past 2 decades, the Philippines went through significant energy reform, including opening the power industry to the private sector. Apart from the Philippines and Thailand, other countries that were included on the top 10 were Chile, which ranked first overall, followed by India, second Jordan, third Brazil, fourth Rwanda, fifth China, seventh Mexico, eighth, and Peru being the ninth. This year's Climate Scope Emerging Market Outlook represents the collective effort of 42 Bloomberg NEF analysts who made 54 country visits to collect data and conduct interviews.
Landmarks, Linggo, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi.
Hi guys, I'm Marie Francisco here at the Shoe Museum in Marikina in the Philippines, reminding you to watch Digital News every Tuesday and Thursday at 7:30 p.m. And I am 1 for 25.
Welcome back. Thousands of Indonesians lined up to get their mug of Java in the hopes of keeping alive a coffee tradition that dates back to Dutch colonial times. An announcer yelled for everyone to get their cup ready to some 4,000 locals and visitors who sip Pawa Down coffee at a festival this week in Batung Sangkar on Sumatra Island. The area is home to a peculiar take on the drink that extracts flavor from the plant's leaves rather than its beans. It is an old-fashioned brew dating back to the colonial period when few locals could afford bean-extracted coffee. So they boiled the throwaway leaves instead and served up the bitter beverage in cups made from dried coconut shells. Abdul Kahim, head of the local tourism office, said he was happy that they got 4,000 cups of coffee. He declared it as a new local record. However, folks in this remote pocket of Indonesia will have their work cut out to smash a national record set last year, which saw some 1.9 million people sip a cup of coffee made the usual way. The coffee competition is part of the 5-day Minangkabau Arts and Culture Festival, including a culinary ceremony known as Bajamba, where hundreds of women walk in a procession with large food pack trays on their heads. Their destination is scores of hungry revelers who sit on the floor across from each other, ready to tuck into local chili-infused dishes and the hugely popular slow-cooked curry known as rendang. Thai conservationists have welcomed footage of reef sharks gliding through the azure waters of Maya Bay as a positive sign of recovery 6 months after the closure of a tourist hotspot made famous by the movie The Beach. The bay circled by dramatic limestone cliffs on Koh Phi Phi Lay Island was made famous by the 2000 film starring Leonardo DiCaprio. However, the movie prompted hordes of tourists to sweep in on a daily of a flotilla of motorboats, damaging the coral ecosystem and eroding the once pristine white sand beach. Authorities shut the park temporarily to the public in June, but later extended the closure indefinitely to let the bay recover. On Friday, park officials shared video of dozens of back-tipped reef sharks serenely swimming close to the beach. Images unimaginable just weeks ago as tourists jostled for selfies on the white sand. A Thai marine biologist prominent in the campaign to close Maya Bay hailed the shark video as beyond imagination and unbelievable. Thailand's idyllic beaches are under increasing strain from huge numbers of tourists and accompanying development in remote and fragile ecosystems. And that is the latest news in the Southeast Asian nations. Stay updated about the ASEAN region. I'm Maricar Velasco and I am one with 25.